What's going on, everybody? It's Technicians Tuesday, and today we will be cleaning the fuel injectors from our Yamaha 300 horsepower HPDI engine, which is from last week's video where we began the process to get this thing running. We will be cleaning half of them while they are on the engine, and the other half we will clean while they are on the bench. Now technically we would want to clean the VST before cleaning the injectors, but I didn't want to put both of those processes into one video, and I messed that up by doing the injectors first. But this way it should be a little more helpful and in-depth of each process, having the videos split up, and we'll be cleaning the VST next week. So let's get started. Before cleaning any injector, we've got to get them off of the engine. We pulled 3 of these injectors off in our last video. I'll put a link to it in the description if you missed it and want to check that out. We are going to need a couple of things to do this, but they are all pretty cheap and easy to find. We'll need a piece of 5/16 inch or 3/8 inch fuel hose depending on what injectors you are cleaning, with a hose clamp on each end. Then we'll need a can of Power Tune and either a plug to the injector, or you can use a pair of spade connectors with some wires so that you can supply power to the injector. And last but not least, we'll need an air compressor to supply some pressure to the cleaner to push the cleaner through the injector. I've seen people clean them with just a syringe, which does work if the injector isn't really that dirty, but if they are really bad, you'll want to use the compressed air to really clean them out the best way. With the injectors off of the engine, you'll notice how dirty the tips of the injectors are. Using a rag and some of the Power Tune, simply clean up the tip of the injector and get all of the dirt off of it. Now carefully remove the rubber O-rings and gaskets from the end of the injector. Then we can attach our hose to the end of the injector and tighten down our hose clamp to seal it up. Now we can just take our can of Power Tune and fill up the fuel hose until it's just up to the top of the hose. We can then insert our air nozzle and tighten down the hose clamp around it. Apply some air pressure to the hose and then quickly tap on a battery to send voltage to the injector, opening and closing it, allowing the air pressure to force the cleaner through the injector. Just continue doing this until you can see the Power Tune spraying or misting out of the injector. This lets us know that the injector is operating and allowing the fuel to flow through it. Now to do this on the engine, we'll follow the same process, just this time we will need to pull the spark plug out of the head, and then when we supply the power to the injector, we should see the Power Tune mist out of the cylinder, letting us know that it is at least flowing somewhat through the injector. Now we can put the rails back onto the engine and see if it will run without using starting fluid. For these HPDIs, just make sure and put some oil on the O-rings and press the rails back onto the injectors and tighten up the bolts. We'll hook back up to our battery, put our key switch back on, get some running water going, and then get our clean fuel hooked back up too. Now we can turn the key and see what happens. The engine starts but then falls out, and especially when we open the throttle plates, which means that it isn't getting enough fuel, but at least it is getting some fuel. So if we turn the key and then continue squeezing the primer bulb, pushing fuel through the VST into the high pressure pump, the engine will continue to idle, which is great news. So now we have 3 possible issues left to mess with on this engine. We've got the VST here, which could be clogged or have a pump messed up, or a bad pressure regulator. Then there is this barrel fuel filter here on top of the VST. And then there is this, the high pressure pump, which has some filters inside of it that could be clogged. We are going to start by pulling off the VST here and cleaning that out. Hopefully we find a bunch of rust and junk inside of here that is causing our fuel delivery issue. We don't want it to be that barrel filter on top. Those things cost like $100, so we don't want to have to do that. These VSTs are pretty easy to take off. We need to unhook that expensive strainer on the top. For that, we just push out on the black piece and the hose will slide off. Then we just unhook the fuel pump and pull off the hoses on top of the tank. We can undo the 2 bolts holding this plate here on the bottom off, and then there are only 3 10mm bolts holding the tank to the engine. We'll pull those off and close out another day here for this week's Technicians Tuesday. Thank you for watching, and now if you ever need to clean a set of injectors, you know what you're doing. We hope you'll hit that thumbs up button, and if this is your first Technicians Tuesday, subscribe to the channel and get the bell on so you don't miss out on next week's video when we clean out that vapor separator tank. And if you have ever had to clean a set of injectors, let us know about it in the comments section below. Remember, you can always reach us on our website at bornagainboating.com. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you next week.